In a manga series as bizarre as One Piece, I never thought that Oda would create a character that just left me completely flabbergasted. He did it in this chapter. It's a Hippo Man, and it's the stuff of nightmares. It's time to set sail again for another manga chapter of One Piece. The Wano Kingdom arc kicks into full swing yet again. This was a crazy chapter. There were so many freaking nutty things going on, tons of new characters who are constantly being introduced at a breakneck pace, seeing Nami in a sexy ninja outfit, and of course being introduced to what might be the most horrifying thing that I've actually ever seen from the One Piece series. We're going to go ahead and just talk about it right now. I'm going to skip all the stuff from the first half of the chapter. I have got to talk about Dobon, who is a gifter. He's half man, half hippo. And something that we've seen from a lot of these guys is they take these animal elements and they just sort of place them randomly on their body. If there's a man who's half mouse, he's got giant ears. If there's a guy who's half elephant, he's got a big trunk. But this is like a science experiment gone wrong. This is like Jeff Goldblum and a fly going into a teleporter and then coming out something else at the other end. A complete mishmash, a Cronenberg monster of absolute terror. And that's what Dobon is. He is a half man, half hippo. This is a man who is basically wearing a giant hippo's head as a pair of pants. Except that this pants is actually a giant hippo's head, which can actually swallow him completely. Trying to describe this out loud without showing you any imagery, because I don't want to get slammed by the copyright gods, is kind of hard to explain and something you need to see for yourself. But essentially imagine the front half of a hippo. The entire back half is completely gone, and whenever it opens its mouth, there is a man sitting inside of its lower jaw, and his two legs are actually going out from the bottom of his jaw, so that's kind of like technically the front feet of this creature. And since this hippo is quite literally has this thing in his mouth, it'll occasionally close and he'll be stuck inside. This is one of the weirdest things that I've ever had to describe to anyone, and that's what made this entire character just so incredibly memorable and strange. It's one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen from One Piece, and I actually really do love it. It's really creepy looking, but wow, what a great introduction to a character. Now, why is he even being introduced in the first place? Well, it looks like Luffy and Kid are going to be doing a lot of manual labor for Kaido and his crew. He joins this group of prisoners who are forced to move these giant stone blocks for reasons. Basically, it just seems like a means of torture, but apparently they do have plans to do something with these giant stones. The thing is, these stones are so giant that it takes a lot of people to actually move them, except for Luffy and Kid. They're able to do it by themselves. In fact, they do it a lot. They're like freaking Goku and Krillin when they were doing training for Master Roshi, wearing those giant turtle shells. For them, it's simply just training, and it is worth mentioning that they are wearing these shackles, which are made out of sea stone, which is actually suppressing all their devil fruit abilities, and yet, even without them, they are still able to lift these giant freaking objects. I don't know if this series is just jumping the shark with its absolute cartooniness, but remember, there's a Hippo Man in this chapter. At this point, I think One Piece can do whatever the hell it wants. What I will say is this is probably going to cause Luffy and Kid to get one hell of a massive power-up. This is basically training for them. But the reason this scene is so satisfying, of course, is because, one, it's just great to finally see Luffy and Kid interacting with one another. They're two characters who have a surprising amount in common, and I would argue that Kid is one of the biggest rivals to becoming the Pirate King. He's kind of like a darker version of Luffy in some senses, and I really hope that we're going to get more conversations between the characters, as what it is right now is basically them just working their ass off. And the thing is, these workers actually get paid in food. If they're able to move like one block, they're able to get one little piece of dongo, this little Japanese treat. But since Luffy and Kid have just been like destroying this job with their immense Herculean strength, they've been gifted with all of this amazing food. This ends up pissing off Dobon the Hippopotamus Man, and this is when Kid and Luffy decide to attack him by jumping into his weird mouth and beating the ever-living shit out of him, as well as saving this old man who looks like he was about to be executed simply because he's an old man and he can't work anymore. This entire scene just exudes the pure absurdness of everything that is the One Piece series. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that apparently Caribou is back. Did anybody see him in this chapter? Apparently he has actually been captured and he's a part of this prison camp. I imagine he doesn't have too many kind words for Luffy, and it would be interesting to see them interact once again. They also take the time to introduce some prisoners who are completely shown in shadow, so these might be new people, they might be characters we've seen previous in the show. All I know is I'm pumped to see what that's all about. But aside from monstrous hippopotamus mutations, most of this chapter is devoted to all of the ongoings in the Wano Kingdom, as the Straw Hat Pirates are trying to amass a massive force to take down Kaido, save Luffy, and save the entire country. And every single character is doing their part. I think one of the more impressive ones is the fact that Usopp is going around town distributing all of these messages to these would-be warriors who are going to join the cause. And safe to say they introduce a ton of characters in this scene, some of which who look like they're going to be incredibly badass. They all just look like a bunch of really cool samurai characters. And they're all getting really pumped up over the fact that this massive revolution that they've been waiting for years is finally about to go down. It's super freaking exciting, and it's worth rereading multiple times, if only to see the introduction of all of these characters who hopefully are going to end up becoming really memorable cornerstones of the Wano Kingdom arc. There's also a great scene of Nami and Shinobu, who made me realize that basically every ninja in One Piece is just a goofy caricature. There's no way that we're probably going to see a traditional cool ninja. They're all going to look like super exaggerated, big-headed dorks. Shinobu is no exception, as despite the fact that she exudes everything that is a ninja, she's not exactly all that stealthy when they're actually, like, spying on this mission about these guys who are getting ready to get some weapons. They end up getting attacked by this giant dude who just cuts his house in half with a giant glaive. It's crazy, but Shinobu, again being a stereotypical ninja, is able to use one of her ninja art abilities to summon a kite, which allows her to fly away. Luckily, Nami is hanging on. She also gets some views of town of Usopp moving around, and Sanji, who instead of recruiting a lot of powerful warriors, just decided to open up a restaurant, and mostly to impress the ladies. So what's the rundown on this chapter of One Piece? I probably missed something crucial from this chapter, as there was a lot of different things going on. Visually speaking, this was a really fun chapter of One Piece. It's one of the reasons why I actually enjoy the One Piece manga, that I can go back and just enjoy every single panel, every bit of art, every bit of weirdness. And there's certainly a lot of that in this chapter, along with a lot of comedy from the characters of Shinobu and Nami and Usopp and, of course, Sanji. All of that stuff was really fantastic, and it's just really great to go back and look at all those little details. Hell, at the very end of the chapter, I didn't even notice Caribou the very first time. When I went back and read it again, I got really surprised to actually see his character, and it only amplified my hype to see who those other hidden prisoners are actually going to be. It's also just really satisfying to see Luffy and Kid, like, just beat the crap out of all of these jailers and not take any shit from them, despite the fact that they can't use their signature abilities. It shows how really tough they are, and it's only a matter of time before they end up beating up enough guards where they're going to have to be confronted with maybe one of the All-Stars or maybe even Kaido himself. There's also the sudden, weird mysteriousness of everything that is Orochi, another character that I can't wait to see. Still, this chapter did a great job of reinvigorating my hype for the Wano Kingdom, and it did a lot of that with spectacle and fun and humor. Really, some of the best things about the One Piece series. Like I said, I'm sorry if I missed any details, but really, I'm just so focused on that fucking hippopotamus man. Look, I know One Piece has a lot of weird shit in it, but this is like next level strange. It's raised this bar to a level that I'm like, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to top this. How are they going to top the guy who basically wears half of a hippopotamus for pants? Only time will tell. What I will say is that this chapter was pretty fantastic from beginning to end. Very fun to read and very fun to look at. Worth rereading a couple of times, as well as doing a great job of building up this next big conflict, which is eventually going to boil over in the Wano Kingdom. How's it all going to go down? We're just going to have to find out. What I will say is that this was a fantastic read right here. I'm going to be giving it a 5 out of 5. You guys need to check it out. If any of you did read this chapter of One Piece, tell me everything you thought about it in the comments section below, the introduction of new characters, some theories, some thoughts on what could be happening and what you hope to see from the rest of the Wano Kingdom arc. Thank you all for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay damn, baby.